There are moments in life when you find yourself walking a path that no one else understands, when the footsteps beside you begin to fade, and the crowd that once cheered for you has gone silent. It's in those moments, those quiet, lonely, and often misunderstood seasons, that something supernatural begins to unfold. The strength that seemed absent starts to rise. The courage you thought you lacked begins to carry you, and the vision that felt clouded becomes clearer than ever before. There is a divine empowerment reserved for the woman who dares to walk alone. Walking alone doesn't mean you are abandoned. It doesn't mean you are forgotten. It means you are being prepared. There are seasons when the distractions must be stripped away, when the approval of others must be silenced, when the safety of the familiar must be shaken, so that you can discover the depth of what has been placed within you. Sometimes solitude is not punishment, it is positioning. When you walk alone, you are not walking empty, you are walking with a presence, a power, a provision that cannot be taken away. The woman who walks alone learns that her footsteps are not wasted. Every step taken in faith builds resilience, every tear becomes a seed for joy, and every sacrifice makes room for greater strength. It is in the wilderness that leaders are forged. It is in the valley that vision is sharpened. And it is in silence that strategies are whispered into your spirit. Walking alone is not weakness. It is a sacred classroom where your endurance is trained, your confidence is refined, and your destiny is shaped. Don't despise the lonely road. Don't curse the season where others cannot come with you. There are journeys that cannot be shared, decisions that cannot be delegated, and battles that cannot be fought with a crowd. The woman who walks alone discovers she is never truly alone. She is overshadowed, upheld, and infused with power that doesn't run out. That empowerment doesn't just carry her forward. It lifts her above the weight that would have crushed her. It breathes courage into her lungs, and it whispers, "Keep walking." Walking alone may feel like loss, but it is often the birthplace of transformation. You will emerge stronger, wiser, and unshakable. You will look back one day and realize that what felt like loneliness was actually alignment. The isolation was an invitation, and the silence was proof that you were being spoken to in ways too deep for human ears to comprehend. So, to the woman who feels like she's walking alone tonight, lift your head, plant your feet, and keep moving forward, because you are not walking in weakness. You are walking in empowerment. And every step you take is a declaration that you are stronger than you know, braver than you thought, and more equipped than you imagined. Loneliness is not abandonment, it is preparation. When we find ourselves in seasons where the phone is silent, the room feels empty, and the companionship we once leaned on is no longer there, it can feel like the world has left us behind. Our minds rush to interpret this season as rejection or desertion, and our hearts can ache under the weight of it. But what if what feels like loneliness is not evidence of being cast aside, but rather evidence of being set apart? What if this season is not meant to destroy you but to build you, not meant to break you but to prepare you for something greater than you could imagine? So often, loneliness is misunderstood. It is not always the absence of people. It is the presence of purpose. When everything around you seems stripped away, when relationships no longer carry you, when familiar voices no longer surround you, it could be that something divine is unfolding. You are being refined in the silence. You are being trained in the stillness. The absence of noise makes room for the clarity of vision. What looks like a void is often an invitation into deeper strength. Preparation is rarely comfortable. It requires pruning, it requires isolation, and it requires stillness. But in the stillness you are being sharpened for the road ahead. Think of it like a seed planted in the soil. Once buried beneath the dirt, it is hidden from view. The world above cannot see it, cannot applaud it, cannot celebrate it. To the outside eye it looks as though nothing is happening. Yet underground in the lonely dark the seed is transforming. Its roots are stretching deep. Its shell is breaking open. Its potential is being unlocked. What appears to be loneliness for the seed is actually preparation for its growth. and soon enough it will break through the soil, reaching toward the light with strength it could have never had without first being buried. That's what loneliness does for you. It digs your roots deep, it builds a hidden strength, it breaks open the shell of your old self, and it prepares you for a season of fruitfulness you could not have handled without this time of preparation. We must learn to see loneliness not as punishment, but as positioning. If you were abandoned, you would be without provision, but in preparation, every resource you need is still being supplied, even if it's not visible. You are not empty-handed. You are being equipped with unseen tools, sharpened by invisible lessons, and filled with resilience that only comes through solitude. It is in the quiet, when no one else is watching, that discipline is formed. It is in the silence, when no one is clapping, that character is strengthened, and it is in the hidden place, where no one is applauding, that courage is built. By the time you step into the season you have been prepared for, you will carry with you wisdom, endurance, and strength that cannot be taken away because it was forged in solitude. Loneliness makes us rely on a source greater than human companionship. Friends can encourage you, family can support you, but they cannot always sustain you. When you walk through a season of aloneness, you learn to stand not because of who is with you, but because of what has been placed within you. You realize that strength is not borrowed from others. It is drawn from deep wells inside that you didn't even know existed. Loneliness becomes the stage where your inner strength steps into the spotlight. Preparation is never wasted. Every tear cried in solitude waters the ground for your future harvest. Every prayer whispered in the silence builds the foundation for the doors that will open ahead. Every lonely night shapes you into someone who will one day be able to stand strong even when the crowd cheers, because you have already learned to stand strong when the crowd was absent. Loneliness has a way of revealing your true identity, not the identity others gave you, not the one that was shaped by applause, but the identity that cannot be shaken, even when no one else affirms it. And here's the beautiful truth: loneliness is temporary, but the preparation it produces is permanent. The lessons you gain in solitude will outlast the season of solitude. The strength you find when no one is watching will carry you when everyone is watching. The clarity you receive in the quiet will guide you when the noise returns. Preparation in the hidden place makes you unstoppable in the open place. So the next time loneliness knocks at your door, resist the temptation to see it as rejection. See it instead as a classroom. You are not being abandoned, you are being entrusted. Entrusted with silence so you can hear more clearly. Entrusted with solitude so you can grow more deeply. Entrusted with stillness so you can prepare more fully. Loneliness is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of transformation. Lift your head in those seasons where you feel alone. Wipe the tears, not because the pain isn't real, but because the pain has purpose. Every lonely step is leading you toward strength. Every silent night is cultivating wisdom, and every moment of solitude is pulling you closer to the destiny waiting ahead. Loneliness is not abandonment, it is preparation. And when the time is right, the strength you have built in the quiet will become the strength that carries you in the spotlight. Walking alone strips away distractions. There comes a point in life where the crowd around you grows so loud, the opinions of others so heavy, and the constant pull of voices so distracting, that you can no longer hear the quiet direction inside your spirit. In a world filled with noise, it is easy to lose your footing because you are responding to too many calls, too many expectations, and too many comparisons. But when you are called to walk alone, that noisy crowd begins to fade away. What once demanded your attention no longer has the same hold. What once drew your energy no longer drains you. Walking alone does not simply mean solitude, it means clarity. It means distractions are stripped away, leaving you face to face with your purpose. There is something powerful about being separated from everything that pulls on you. You begin to see clearly what actually matters. The opinions that once carried weight suddenly lose their authority. The desire to please everyone loses its grip. The comparison that once filled your mind with doubt no longer feels relevant. Walking alone is not simply about losing people. It is about losing the attachments that blurred your focus. Sometimes we do not even realize how much clutter has filled our hearts until we are forced into a season of stillness. When the conversations stop, when the invitations don't come, when the crowd is no longer cheering, you suddenly have the space to reflect. You suddenly have room to breathe. You suddenly have the opportunity to ask yourself what you really want, who you really are, and where you are truly going. Distractions have a way of masquerading as support. Not every voice in your life is destructive. Some simply keep you busy. They keep you running in circles, doing what looks productive but is actually preventing you from making progress. Walking alone interrupts that cycle. It reminds you that your worth is not determined by how many people approve of you, how many are clapping for you, or how many walk beside you. When you strip away the distractions, you begin to rediscover your true priorities. You remember that your value is not in what people see, but in what you carry. You realize that not every voice deserves access to your energy, and not every opinion deserves a response. When you walk alone, you begin to discern between what is urgent and what is essential. Life is full of things that demand immediate attention, but not everything urgent is actually important. Distractions shout loudly, pulling you in many directions, but the essential things, the things tied to your destiny, speak quietly. They require focus to hear. That is why walking alone is so vital. It silences the noise so you can hear the whisper of direction. It quiets the chaos so you can focus on what actually builds you. It is in the solitude that your vision is clarified, your steps become intentional, and your energy becomes aligned with your assignment. Think about how easily distractions drain you. A single negative opinion can linger in your mind for weeks, replaying over and over, robbing you of joy. A single toxic relationship can keep you from moving forward, holding you hostage to drama and chaos. A single habit of scrolling endlessly or comparing your journey to others can leave you feeling empty and behind. Walking alone removes those influences. It forces you to stand outside the cycle of comparison, outside the pull of opinions, outside the constant noise of other people's priorities. In that place of solitude, you finally have the space to confront your own thoughts, to heal your own wounds, and to focus on your own growth. And here's the truth: clarity often feels uncomfortable. Stripping away distractions means losing the things you once leaned on for comfort. It can feel like loss, but in reality it is freedom. Freedom from the weight of needing approval, freedom from the pressure of performance. Freedom from the chaos of too many voices in your head. When you walk alone, you are not weaker. You are lighter. You are not empty. You are focused. You are not lost. You are finally aligned. This is why seasons of walking alone should not be despised. They are sacred opportunities for refinement. They are moments when life is recentered, when your vision is purified, and when your priorities are reset. You may feel lonely, but you are being given the gift of clarity. You may feel isolated, but you are being entrusted with focus. You may feel abandoned, but you are actually being equipped to stand stronger than you ever have before. Walking alone strips away distractions because distractions cannot survive in solitude. They require noise, chaos, and constant motion to thrive. But when you are still, when you are quiet, when you are alone, they lose their power, and in their absence you gain something far more valuable: focus, strength, and the courage to walk forward without being swayed by every passing voice. So embrace the walk, embrace the silence, embrace the stripping away, because what feels like loss is actually clarity, and clarity is the compass that will guide you into your destiny. Every step alone builds resilience. It does not always feel that way in the moment. In fact, when you are the only one walking a road, it can feel heavy, slow, and endless. You wonder if the effort is worth it. You wonder if the struggle is building anything at all, or if you are simply exhausting yourself for no reason. But resilience is not something that appears all at once. It is not a gift handed to you fully formed. It is forged in the repeated act of putting one foot in front of the other, especially when no one is there to clap for you, especially when no one else sees the effort you are making, and especially when you feel like turning back would be easier. Resilience is the invisible muscle built through invisible steps, and every solitary stride strengthens it. Life has a way of teaching us that strength cannot be borrowed. Support may surround you for a time, encouragement may cheer you forward for a season, but eventually there will be roads you must walk by yourself. It is in those moments that you discover the depth of your endurance. Every decision to keep moving when fatigue tells you to stop builds resilience. Every choice to rise again after being knocked down hardens your resolve. Every time you stand alone in faith, in conviction, or in integrity, even when it costs you relationships or comfort, you are building an inner strength that cannot be taken from you. Walking alone requires more than courage. It requires persistence. And persistence, step by step, becomes resilience. Resilience is not glamorous. It is not the applause of the crowd or the mountaintop celebration. It is the silent victories nobody sees. It is getting up after crying yourself to sleep. It is showing up to work after a season of disappointment. It is choosing hope when the evidence points to despair. It is believing in your purpose when the doors are still closed and opportunities seem scarce. Resilience is born in the shadows before it shines in the spotlight, and walking alone provides the perfect soil for it to grow, because without the distractions of others, you are left face to face with your own willpower, your own strength, and your own determination. Every step matters. The step you take when you are tired counts. The step you take when you are misunderstood counts. The step you take when you are mocked counts. Even the small steps, the ones that feel insignificant, are stacking up, creating a foundation that will hold you when life tests you again. You do not realize it at first, but each lonely stride is laying bricks for a fortress within you. You are being built into someone who will not crumble when the storm comes again. You are becoming a woman who bends but does not break, who may stumble but always rises. Walking alone also teaches you how to rely on strength beyond your own. When you are surrounded by people, it is easy to lean on them, to depend on their voices and their presence. But when you walk by yourself, you learn that your source of strength comes from within, and that discovery awakens you to power you never knew you had. You begin to realize that you are capable of more than you imagined. You learn to trust your own steps, to believe in your own ability to rise, to carry your own weight without collapsing. This awakening does not come when life is easy and company is plentiful. It comes in the silence of the lonely road. Think of resilience as a flame. Every step you take alone is like adding fuel to that fire. At first the flame flickers, small and fragile, but the more you feed it, the stronger it burns. Eventually it becomes a roaring fire that cannot be extinguished by disappointment, rejection, or fear. The woman who has walked alone for miles and miles carries with her a fire that keeps her moving when others give up. That fire becomes her testimony, her legacy, her strength. So when you feel the weight of walking alone, do not despise it. Recognize what it is producing in you. You are not just surviving, you are being fortified. You are not just enduring, you are being equipped. And one day, the resilience you built in silence will become the strength others admire in the open. They will look at you and see someone unshaken, someone immovable, someone steady under pressure. What they will not see are the countless lonely steps that built that resilience brick by brick. Resilience is the reward of the road less traveled. It is the unseen crown placed on those who do not quit, even when everything in them wants to. Every step alone builds it, every tear fuels it, every trial strengthens it, and though the path may feel long, the outcome is worth it, because resilience is what ensures that when life tests you again, you will not break. You will stand tall, steady, and unshaken, because you already know that walking alone did not destroy you. It prepared you, strengthened you, and built in you a resilience that nothing can take away. The lonely path is a sacred classroom. No one likes the idea of loneliness, and no one prays for it, but there are lessons along that narrow, quiet road that cannot be learned anywhere else. When you are surrounded by people, when life is full of noise and movement, your attention is divided, your focus is scattered, and your dependence often shifts toward others. But when you walk through a season where the companionship you longed for is absent, where the crowd is gone and the applause has faded, you are ushered into a classroom designed for your soul. This classroom does not have walls, it does not have a chalkboard, and it does not come with a syllabus. Its teacher is time, its curriculum is silence, and its lessons are deeply personal. The lonely path, as painful as it feels, becomes the most sacred space where wisdom, resilience, and vision are taught. There is something about walking alone that slows you down enough to pay attention. In the hustle of shared life, we rarely pause to ask ourselves the hard questions. We rarely reflect on where we are going, what we believe, or why we are here. But in solitude, those questions rise to the surface, demanding an answer. On the lonely path, you are no longer distracted by constant conversation, and you begin to hear the sound of your own heart. You begin to recognize the emotions you have been avoiding, the truths you have been denying, and the healing you have been postponing. The lonely path presses you into reflection, and reflection is one of the greatest teachers of all. It is also in this classroom that strength is refined. When you no longer have someone else to lean on, you are forced to discover the wells of courage within you. You realize that your ability to endure is far greater than you imagine. You realize that what once would have broken you now only bends you. You realize that your voice, though it trembles at first, is strong enough to speak up. These are not lessons you can borrow from someone else. They are not truths you can learn from a book or a lecture. They are the kind of lessons you can only gain when you are stretched beyond your comfort zone and forced to stand on your own 2 feet. The lonely path also teaches you discernment. When you are surrounded by many voices, it is difficult to know which one to follow. You can be swayed by opinions, pressured by expectations, or confused by conflicting advice. But on the lonely path, the voices quiet down. In that stillness, you learn to discern what really matters, what really deserves your energy, and what truly aligns with your purpose. Discernment is sharpened in silence, and it is a skill that will serve you for the rest of your life. Without the lonely path, you would never learn to distinguish between the noise and the signal, between distraction and direction. The sacredness of this classroom is also found in its ability to reveal your true identity. So often we build our sense of worth on what others say about us, how many applaud us, or how much approval we receive. But when all of that is stripped away and you are left walking alone, you are faced with the question, who am I when no one else is looking? Who am I when no one else is affirming me? That question is hard, but it is liberating, because once you find your answer, you are no longer chained to people's approval. You know who you are, not because of what the crowd says, but because you discovered it in the silence of the lonely road. That lesson is priceless, and it cannot be unlearned. What makes this classroom sacred is that nothing is wasted. Every tear becomes part of the lesson. Every setback becomes part of the training. Every disappointment becomes part of the growth. The lonely path does not just take from you, it deposits something in you. It deposits wisdom, courage, patience, and strength. It shapes your character in ways comfort never could. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but it does not teach. The lonely path, though painful, is filled with holy lessons that prepare you for the future. And perhaps the most profound lesson of all is this: the lonely path is temporary, but the growth it produces is eternal. You may not walk it forever, but the truths you learn there will carry you for a lifetime. The strength you gain will sustain you in future battles. The wisdom you receive will guide you through complex decisions. The identity you uncover will anchor you when others try to define you. The lonely path will not last, but its impact will. So when you find yourself walking alone, do not despise the journey. Treat it as sacred ground. It may not feel like a classroom you would choose, but it is one of the most valuable you will ever enter. The lessons may be painful, but they are also powerful. They are molding you, shaping you, and preparing you for the life that is ahead. The lonely path is not a punishment. It is a holy invitation to learn what cannot be taught in the company of others. And when you emerge from it, you will not be the same. You will be wiser, stronger, and more secure than you ever imagined. That is why the lonely path is not just a road. It is a sacred classroom. Walking alone is not weakness. It is empowerment. Too often, when we see someone walking by themselves, when we feel the absence of company on our own journey, we interpret it as a sign of lack. We assume that being alone means we are less valuable, less desirable, or less capable. We have been conditioned to equate companionship with strength and solitude with weakness. But the truth is far different. The truth is that walking alone can be one of the most empowering experiences of your life. It is in those seasons when no one else is beside you to hold your hand or push you forward that you discover what has been inside of you all along. Empowerment is not something given by the crowd. It is not something handed to you by applause or affirmation. Empowerment is something that rises from within when you realize that you are capable of moving forward regardless of who walks with you. Walking alone forces you to dig into a deeper well of strength, one that is not dependent on external validation. When no one else is there to remind you of your worth, you learn to remind yourself. When no one else is there to encourage you to keep going, you learn to speak life over yourself. When no one else is there to push you, you discover the power of self-discipline. That is not weakness, that is empowerment. There is a kind of confidence that only comes from solitude. When you realize that you can stand, walk, and even thrive without leaning on others for strength, you carry yourself differently. You walk taller not because people are watching, but because you know your steps are secure. You speak bolder not because you expect applause, but because you trust the conviction inside you. Walking alone strips you of the illusion that your worth depends on the presence of others, and in its place it gives you unshakable assurance that your worth has never been tied to the crowd. Empowerment comes when you learn that your value is not negotiable. Too many times people tie their identity to who walks beside them. If they have support, they feel strong. If they are applauded, they feel important. But when those supports are gone, they crumble. Walking alone teaches you that you are still enough even without the titles, without the applause, and without the visible support. You carry something inside you that cannot be diminished by absence. You are not fragile, you are fortified. That realization makes you powerful in a way you cannot be if you always depend on others to validate your worth. Walking alone also sharpens your vision. Without the distractions of constant chatter, without the pull of competing voices, you are able to see your path more clearly. Empowerment comes from clarity, and clarity often comes in solitude. When you walk by yourself, you are free to make decisions without the pressure of pleasing others. You are free to listen to the quiet pull of your own spirit. You are free to align with your true calling without having to explain or justify yourself to those who may not understand. That freedom is empowering because it allows you to live authentically, unapologetically, and with focus. And empowerment is not just about strength. It is about transformation. Walking alone transforms you into someone who cannot be easily shaken. When you learn to stand by yourself, rejection loses its sting. When you learn to walk forward in solitude, abandonment no longer breaks you. When you learn to thrive without applause, silence no longer intimidates you. Empowerment is the byproduct of walking through the valley of solitude and discovering that you are still standing on the other side. There is a kind of authority that comes only from surviving seasons of solitude. People who have never walked alone often fear it. They fear being misunderstood, unloved, or forgotten. But those who have walked through it and come out stronger carry an authority that cannot be faked. They can speak to others with authenticity because they know what it means to keep moving forward when no one else believed in them. They can encourage with conviction because they have been where others now stand. They can lead with courage because they learned to lead themselves first. So do not mistake solitude for weakness. Do not let the absence of others make you believe you are less. The truth is that every step you take alone is strengthening your confidence, refining your vision, and proving to you that you are stronger than you thought. Walking alone is empowerment because it reveals what has been hidden inside you all along. It shows you that you are resilient, capable, and courageous. When you embrace this truth, you no longer fear the lonely seasons. You no longer panic when people leave or when the crowd grows silent. Instead, you recognize that the silence is a gift, the solitude is a blessing, and the absence of others is an opportunity. Walking alone is not weakness. It is the unveiling of your true strength. It is the confirmation that you do not need to be surrounded to be powerful. You already carry everything you need within you, and when you finally realize that, you walk not in fear, but in empowerment. Isolation is often an invitation. It does not feel like it when you first step into it. When friends stop calling, when the crowd grows distant, when the voices you once leaned on are suddenly silent, your first instinct is to assume that something is wrong. You wonder if you have been rejected, forgotten, or left behind. Your mind plays tricks, convincing you that this season is a curse. But what if isolation is not a curse at all? What if it is an invitation? An invitation into deeper clarity, into hidden strength, into lessons that cannot be taught in the noise of community? What if the loneliness you feel is not evidence that you have been abandoned, but proof that you are being drawn into a place of transformation? Isolation clears the stage of distractions so that a new focus can enter. When you are surrounded by people and noise, it is nearly impossible to hear the still voice within you. Every opinion pulls at you, every expectation pressures you, every conversation fills your mind with thoughts that are not your own. But when you are pulled into isolation, the volume lowers, and in the quiet, you can finally hear what matters. The invitation of isolation is to listen, to sit still long enough to rediscover what your heart has been trying to say, and to realign your steps with the path designed for you. What feels like loss is actually a gift, an opportunity to clear away the clutter so that clarity can take root. There is also an invitation to healing in isolation. We are so good at running, so skilled at hiding behind activity, relationships, and distractions that we rarely pause to acknowledge our wounds. But when you are isolated, when the usual patterns of busyness fall away, your wounds rise to the surface. Pain you ignored for years begins to knock at your door. Disappointments you buried start to whisper again. It is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also holy, because healing can only happen when you are willing to face the truth. Isolation invites you to sit with the broken parts of yourself and allow them to be mended. It invites you to deal with what you have been avoiding so that you can finally be free. Isolation also carries the invitation of discovery. When you are by yourself, you learn who you truly are, without the filter of others' opinions, without the constant comparisons, without the expectations of the crowd. You see yourself more clearly. You begin to notice the strength you carry, the resilience that has always been there, the talents that have been overshadowed by noise. You discover your voice, your conviction, your identity. This discovery is powerful because once you have found it, no one can take it from you. People may come and go, applause may rise and fall, but you will never again doubt who you are because you found yourself in isolation. There is also an invitation to preparation hidden in the silence of isolation. Great assignments are often birthed in hidden seasons. Before a new chapter begins, there is usually a period of stillness where you are being equipped, sharpened, and prepared. It may look like nothing is happening, but in reality, everything is happening. You are being pruned of habits that no longer serve you. You are being trained in endurance that you will need for the road ahead. You are being equipped with clarity that will keep you steady when the storms come. Isolation invites you to be shaped for something greater than what you have known. Empowerment often emerges from this hidden place. At first, you may feel weak in isolation, but over time you begin to realize how much power it gives you. Power to stand without needing validation, power to focus without being pulled in 100 directions, power to walk in authenticity without fear of rejection, power to carry peace within you that is not dependent on circumstances. Isolation reveals the authority you already carry. It proves to you that you are not fragile. You are capable of walking strong even when no one else is there to steady you. And perhaps the most beautiful invitation of isolation is intimacy. When the crowd disappears, you are given the chance to draw closer to what really matters. You are no longer diluted by too many voices, too many opinions, too many agendas. You are invited to draw near to the source of your strength, to lean into the quiet presence that has never left you, to listen for whispers that are drowned out in the noise of the crowd. Isolation may feel like emptiness, but it is actually a full table set for you alone, an invitation to commune, to rest, to breathe, and to be filled. When you understand isolation this way, you stop fearing it. You stop interpreting it as rejection and begin embracing it as invitation. Instead of seeing yourself as forgotten, you begin to see yourself as chosen to step into a season of clarity, healing, discovery, preparation, empowerment, and intimacy. You realize that what others call loneliness is often a setup for transformation. You are not being punished, you are being prepared, you are not being abandoned, you are being invited. So the next time you find yourself in isolation, do not rush to escape it. Sit in it long enough to hear what it has to teach you. Let it peel back the layers of distraction. Let it heal the wounds you have carried. Let it sharpen your vision and strengthen your heart. Isolation is often the doorway to the very life you have been praying for. It is not the end of your story. It is the hidden beginning of a greater chapter. Isolation is not rejection. It is an invitation, and those who accept it emerge stronger, freer, and more unshakable than ever before. As we draw this message to a close, remember this: the seasons when you walk alone are not empty, they are full of purpose. Loneliness is not abandonment, it is preparation. Every step you take alone builds resilience, shaping a strength within you that no crowd can give and no circumstance can take away. Walking alone strips away distractions, clearing the noise of opinions and expectations so you can focus on your calling, your vision, and your true identity. The lonely path is a sacred classroom, teaching lessons that comfort and companionship could never deliver, refining your character and deepening your understanding of who you are. Walking alone is not weakness, it is empowerment. It teaches you that your worth is not dependent on others, that your power is not borrowed, and that the courage to move forward already resides within you. And even when it feels like isolation is unbearable, know that isolation is often an invitation to listen more closely, to heal more deeply, to prepare more fully, and to rise stronger than ever before. So, to every woman walking a road that feels lonely, hear this: you are not forgotten, you are not unseen, you are being shaped, refined, and empowered. Every silent step, every tear, every moment of solitude is producing in you wisdom, courage, clarity, and unshakable strength. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep standing. The woman who walks alone is not just surviving. She is rising, she is being prepared, and she is becoming everything she was created to be. Step forward with confidence, knowing that your path, though solitary, is sacred. Your journey is powerful. Your steps are a declaration, and your destiny will not be denied. Walk on, walk strong, and embrace the empowerment that comes from walking alone.